Good evening. Can you text me where we stopped in the last class? And can you come with the video, please? Okay. Explained up to Uniting for Peace topic. UN General Assembly. UNSC reform. Okay. UNSC reform. It means that border dispute already done or not? Okay. Thank you. So the next important global mandate is solving boundary disputes through peaceful manner. Okay. Even today also we have news about the boundary dispute between Azerbaijan and Armenia. Finally, Azerbaijan got their territory. See, regarding that, we will discuss elaborately later with all the recent updates. Okay. So, before going to this, see, after this decolonization, once the decolonization started, there were so many new countries were created or divided. Okay, so they got independence from colonial powers, and finally, what happened? It led to that is this decolonization led to creation of new countries. The creation of new countries within short duration led to boundary disputes. See, boundary disputes. There are so many boundary disputes. There are so many number. Someone texted us regard first. See, I hope all of you received first, second set of material. Okay, so we have couriered before Diwali. So I think we have sent courier on 14th is Diwali, no? Around the 10th or 9th we sent courier. Okay, so please check. And I got first set of material from institute directly, but for second set of book I need to see whatever option you selected while getting first set of courier, that will be same for second set also. You cannot change. Okay. See, there are so many countries created and so many countries had boundary dispute. Okay, there are well-known boundary disputes. For example, Indo-China boundary dispute, Indo-Pakistan boundary dispute, and next one, the recent controversy, Golan Heights, and next one, Armenian, Azerbaijan. Okay, there are so many, not one or two. There are so many boundary disputes, but over period of time, either through bilateral negotiations or through multilateral mechanisms, most of the countries they have settled their boundary disputes through peaceful manner. Say, for example, after the Soviet Union disintegration, three Central Asian countries, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, three countries, they had boundary dispute either among themselves or with Russia and China. Five countries totally: Russia, China, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan. these three Central Asian countries, along with Russia and China, they had boundary dispute. After the Soviet Union disintegration in 1991, and immediately almost all these five countries, they deployed their troops along their boundary. That led to instability in this region. In the Eurasian region, there was instability. So what happened? This one, these five countries, they started negotiation. Okay. So they started negotiation. Finally, they went for an agreement. That agreement name is called Deepening Military Ties Along Border. So this was the agreement. What was the purpose of that agreement? Through peaceful manner, all boundary disputes should be settled. Okay. So 1992 it was signed. After signing this agreement, slowly the negotiations took place, and simultaneously they reduced their the presence of troops. So whatever the number of troops deployed along the borders, slowly troops were removed. So this was the situation. Okay. And in 1996, almost all these five countries, they settled their boundary disputes, almost in all areas. So finally, they created a regional forum, a regional organization called Shanghai 5. In 1996, it was started as a Shanghai 5, originally by the same five countries: Russia, China, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan. Then what happened? From 1996 to 2001, these five countries participated in the discussion of this forum. And the major agenda for this forum was to address terrorism, extremism, and separatism. Because almost all these countries, there were some terrorist groups and separatist organizations, they started fighting against their government to get autonomous status. Say, for example, in Xinjiang province, China, then Northern Ossetia and Chechnya provinces of Russia. So in these two countries, there were many separatist movements and this one, terrorist organizations who are supporting from Central Asian countries. So to address these three things, a regional forum was established in the name of Shanghai 5. Later in 2001, Uzbekistan was admitted into this group and it was renamed as Shanghai Cooperation Organization. So my point is, say for example, Shanghai Cooperation Organization, this organization's foundation stone laid in 1992 because of boundary dispute. Originally for boundary dispute, it was started. So slowly it became a powerful institution in Eurasian region, Central Asian region. Okay. So not only this, there are so many boundary disputes were solved through peaceful manner. But even after having so many mechanisms globally or regionally, so many agreements, we were not able to address some of the boundary disputes. Okay. Some boundary disputes led to war or conflicts that led to killing of hundreds of thousands of people. Okay. So simply boundary disputes can create regional level instability or global level instability. Okay. So what are they? Just a few examples. One is well-known example, that is a boundary dispute between two neighbors, India and Pakistan. So how it started? It started in, even before partition it started. That is, Mr. Radcliffe, a British official, was invited by British administration to draw boundary between India and Pakistan when it was decided to divide the country. And Radcliffe completed his task by establishing boundary from Gujarat to Punjab, Gujarat, Rajasthan and Punjab. But after independence, when consolidation phase took place, this Indian authorities decided that all local princely states should be integrated with the Indian Union. Accordingly, the consolidation phase started, and almost all local princely states were integrated except uh, three, like Hyderabad, Junagadh, and Jammu and Kashmir. Later, Hyderabad, Junagadh were included, but Jammu and Kashmir king, he was uh, interested to remain an independent state. Maharaja Hari Singh, he was interested to remain as an independent state. Both Pakistan and India were very much interested to have Jammu and Kashmir. And this one, in 1947, during that independence time, there was a bilateral agreement between India, there was arrangement between India and Pakistan that no country should directly involve in internal matters of Jammu and Kashmir. Majority population, they followed Islam, but ruler was Hindu. So in order to avoid future controversies, he decided to remain as an independent state. So what happened? Internationally, it was agreed that no country should directly involve in internal matters of Jammu and Kashmir. But in 1947, it was Pakistan. They mobilized tribal groups from northwestern Pakistan, that is Pashtun tribes. Pashtun tribes were mobilized by Pakistani authorities. They trained and they sent to Jammu and Kashmir to attack. Okay, so this is actually properly planned and implemented by Pakistan. See, in case if in international forum, if anyone raising this issue, Pakistan can escape by saying that it is not our military intervention, it is a tribal conflict between the tribal group and Jammu and Kashmir. So they planned accordingly. When Pakistani tribal groups entered into Jammu and Kashmir, they captured till this extent. Okay, now the so-called Pakistan occupied Kashmir. They entered into this region and they captured till this extent. At the time, see, when there was a massive attack by tribal groups in Jammu and Kashmir, Maharaja Hari Singh approached then Governor General of India, Mountbatten, and Mountbatten clearly told, like, if you sign treaty of annexation, then we can help you. So accordingly, the instrument was signed to annex Jammu and Kashmir with India. Then Jammu and Kashmir became independent, or integral part of India. Okay, previously it was independent state. Now it became integral part of India. It became one among the state of India. So once it is done, Indian troops were sent to Jammu and Kashmir to help Maharaja Hari Singh or to fight against tribal groups. At the time, Pakistan also sent their army. It was the first Indo-Pakistan war in 1947 October. So when war started, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, he approached the United Nations for peaceful settlement of this dispute, and accordingly United Nations passed a resolution in 1947, resolution number also 1947. So in this resolution, they requested both India and Pakistan to stop war immediately. Accordingly, war stopped. But the further directions from United Nations Security Council was different. That is, it is different for Pakistan, not for India. What Security Council suggested is, once the war is stopped, both the countries should remove their troops. Both the countries should withdraw their troops from Jammu and Kashmir. And India alone will be allowed to deploy very minimum amount of troops to protect its territory. But Pakistan should withdraw, Pakistan should remove completely. Once forces are removed, then a referendum can be conducted in Jammu and Kashmir. Let the people of Jammu and Kashmir decide about future of Jammu and Kashmir. This was the suggestion given by Security Council. But this suggestion was immediately rejected by Pakistan by saying this resolution is biased one, it is favoring India. That is, India alone allowed to keep their troops in Jammu and Kashmir. So Pakistan never interested, or they never agreed, or they never wanted to remove their troops. So Pakistan also deployed their troops in Pakistan occupied Kashmir. Because of that, we also deployed. So what is the ultimate result? That is, United Nations Security Council created United Nations Peacekeeping Force, that is called United Nations Military Observer Group, okay, in Jammu and Kashmir. So they are observing the situation in the border, okay. So in case if any party, see, we have a peace agreement after 1971 war. We have similar agreement. There is a peace agreement signed between India and Pakistan by Indira Gandhi and Bhutto. So with this agreement, now we are maintaining peace, okay. And in case if any party violates peace agreement, then this military observer group will send report to Security Council. Security Council will take necessary actions. Okay, so this is one important thing. But you see, if you ask a question like, is it possible to address this boundary dispute permanently, means there is a very little chance. See, optimistically, we can say from Indian side, yes, it can be solved. But practically speaking, right now it is not possible. The reason is very simple. That is, in India, we have only one power center which is headed by Indian Prime Minister, elected by people directly. Whereas in Pakistan, there are three power centers. One is Pakistani Prime Minister, that is a civilian government. Second one, Pakistani Army. Army itself is a power center. Third one will be Pakistani Intelligence Agency, ISI. So there are three power centers. So being a democratic country, if India wants peace, we can go for peace agreement only with Pakistani civilian government. In case if you sign any peace agreement with Pakistani civilian government, very next minute it will be violated by Pakistani Army or ISI. Being a democratic country, you cannot go for peace agreement either with Army or ISI. So this is a practical difficulty. So if Pakistan power center is consolidated, then we can think about permanent solution. And apart from this, there are some international factors playing role with respect to Indo-Pakistan border dispute. Okay. So this is very briefly about this. Okay. So United Nations played some crucial roles when there was a war between India and Pakistan for Jammu and Kashmir. Okay. Next, this one, Golan Heights. See, Golan Heights, recently it was in news. Okay, this is Golan Heights. So what was the news? That the president of US, Trump, unilaterally, so actually this is a disputed one. Golan Heights is a disputed region. Already 2 times UPSC asked a question about Golan Heights. Okay. See, Israel captured this Golan Heights in 1967 war. Okay. That is third Israel-Arab war. Third Israel-Arab war was in 1967. So during that war, Israel captured. Okay, Israel was attacked by Lebanon, Syria, Egypt. Okay, so many Arab countries joined together. They attacked Israel, but Israel single-handedly they won that war. And once the war ended, Golan Heights is actually this region is having plenty of water resources and strategically very important. It is connecting Israel, Lebanon, Syria and Jordan. Originally this Golan Heights belongs to Syria. Okay. So in this war, Israel captured. After capturing, they refused to give this region to Syria. They refused to permit, and it became disputed territory between Israel and Syria. Okay. And since it became a disputed region between Syria and Israel, United Nations Security Council deployed their troops in order to maintain peace in this region. Even now they have peacekeeping troops in Golan Heights. So what happened in Golan Heights, see, major reason is resources as well as the strategic location. Okay. So it was almost for 40 years, it was more than 40 years, it was a disputed region between Syria and Israel. And it is administered by United Nations. But in 2017, Trump, I think 2018, Trump declared unilaterally, it is not decision of the entire world or it is not decision of United Nations. United States unilaterally declared that they will recognize Golan Heights as integral part of Israel. Integral part of Israel. This was the decision of United States government. Okay. So it is actually very important this boundary dispute, not yet solved, and there are so many international efforts made to settle this boundary dispute peacefully, but both the parties they are very much strong on their stand. So even now it is not possible to address this issue. So sometimes we can expect question regarding this Golan Heights. So Golan Heights having boundary with 4 countries: Lebanon, Syria, Jordan, and Israel. Okay, and Sea of Galilee also. Okay. Please go through once about this Golan Heights and related controversy, if time permits. Very important thing. Okay. Next, maritime boundary disputes. There are so many maritime boundary disputes. Previously, we had boundary dispute with Bangladesh, Myanmar. Okay, there is maritime boundary disputes. But between India and Sri Lanka, do you know? Do we have any maritime boundary dispute? Any idea? India and Sri Lanka. Do we have any boundary dispute? Fisherman. Okay. Fisherman issue. Super. Harini. But is it due to boundary dispute or Park Strait fisherman problem? Yes. See, problem is very simple. Rini Kachativ is a settled one. It is actually politicized by political parties, but it is a settled one. We don't have any dispute with respect to Kachativ. Okay, so we don't have any issue. Yes, someone texted no boundary dispute, but fisherman issue. Exactly. As such, between India and Sri Lanka, we don't have any international boundary dispute, maritime boundary dispute. Okay, but only thing is we have problem of a fisherman. See, Tamil Nadu fishermen, okay, they are using important thing that is previously they used is a deep sea trawling. Even though illegally sometimes they are using deep sea trawls are dangerous. That is, it will not allow regeneration of fish. Okay, because of these deep sea trawls, the fish stock, the resources are very less. Almost it was exhausted in Indian waters. Whereas in Sri Lankan waters, between India and Sri Lanka, boundary is well established. The Park Strait, that is the intermediate water body, is divided exactly into 2 under UNCLOS. So what happened in Sri Lankan side, there is no strong fisherman community and they don't have much technology and all. So because of that, there is a plenty of stock in Sri Lankan side. So Indian fishermen, they know that they are crossing international boundary and they are entering into Sri Lankan water. For that, either they are arrested or they are targeted by Sri Lankan Navy. Okay, but why the Indian fishermen are going to Sri Lankan water means there is a plenty of stock or resources. Once if they are going, they can get very good catch. They can earn a huge amount. So that's the reason they are crossing boundary. Okay. So this is the biggest issue. It is actually a bilateral issue, and now there are so many the recent negotiations conducted, and almost it is peacefully done. But still, there are some incidences occasionally, not regularly, occasionally. Okay. So as such, between India and Sri Lanka, we don't have any issue. That is maritime boundary issue. Okay. Before going to this, already we discussed about this UNCLOS, United Nations Convention on Law of Sea. So briefly, I will revise it. I hope we have done. Am I right, Harini? Archana? We have done about UNCLOS, right? Okay. So briefly, so while discussing about seabed treaty, I think we have discussed. Can you remember? Like the how boundaries are demarcated and what are the activities allowed in each zone. Can you remember? Okay. Like territorial. See, from the coast, actually UNCLOS was signed in 1982. From the coast, first 12 nautical miles are called as territorial sea. Then next 12 nautical miles are called as contiguous zone. Then beyond this, up to 200 nautical miles is called as exclusive economic zone. Beyond this exclusive economic zone, this is called high seas. High seas. So this is the maritime boundary structure. High seas are common to all countries. Invariably, all countries can access these high seas. And in territorial sea, whatever laws are applicable on land, all laws are applicable. In contiguous zones, only few laws like immigration law, customs law, sanitation law, okay, sanitary laws. So these laws are available in applicable in contiguous zone. Exclusive economic zone can be utilized only for majorly 4 activities. One is fishing, then scientific research, then navigation, then exploration of minerals. So these are the 4 activities allowed in exclusive economic zone. I hope we discussed about this. Okay. Now, South China Sea. I think in international relations class, Govindaraj sir already discussed about this, but still briefly I will explain. See, Vietnam is a very small state. They are party to UNCLOS. Okay, and based on this UNCLOS, this is Vietnam. Vietnam is claiming till this extent. So in South China Sea, South China Sea is most disputed maritime region in the world, and they are climbing up to this extent, small state, and based on this convention, say they have, they can access up to 200 nautical miles for getting minerals. So there are 2 major reasons for conflict in South China Sea. Okay, the first reason already you know that more than 40% or close to half of world trade, commodity trades are passing through this South China Sea. More than close to 50%, more than 40% of world trade is passing through South China Sea. So whoever controlling South China Sea can control this trade routes. This is first reason. Second, very important thing is, in the South China Sea, it is estimated that close to 22 billion barrels of oil and some trillions of cubic meter gases are available, natural gases. These two important hydrocarbon fuels are one of the major contention between China and other Southeast Asian nations. So China wanted to control these resources with their supremacy, that is, with their mighty armed forces. But the other small Southeast Asian nations, they are trusted with international mechanisms like UNCLOS. Since they are members in UNCLOS, they wanted to explore these minerals based on the provisions of UNCLOS. So UNCLOS is saying the high seas can be accessed by the respective country up to 200 nautical miles for getting minerals, and they can do research. This was the situation. And Malaysia, another small state, they are also climbing till this extent. And this island is called Borneo Island. This Borneo Island is divided by three countries. One is Indonesia, then Malaysia, then Brunei. So in this Borneo Island, again, Malaysia is climbing till this extent. And Brunei, very small state, based on this convention, they are also climbing till this extent. And Philippines, it is an archipelago country. Archipelago means there is a group of islands. So according to UNCLOS, if it is an archipelago, they can get access in all four directions, 360-degree surrounding that island. They can extend their maritime territory. So based on this convention, Philippines is climbing till this extent. Based on UNCLOS, they are climbing till this extent as their territory. Okay. So these are the territorial claims by Southeast Asian nations. China, regional superpower as well as world superpower now, they are claiming entire South China Sea as their territory. So they are claiming that entire South China Sea as their territory. Based on two grounds. Based on two grounds. Actually, this claim is called a 9-dash line. Okay. So there are 9 dashes. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Previously it was 11 dashes. Now it is 9 dashes. See, this one, so what are the two grounds means? First, China is saying that based on our historical records, China is saying that Chinese historical records are saying that South China Sea belonging to China. This is first ground. Whose historical? Chinese historical. Then, second ground, what they are saying is our national laws. Okay, Chinese laws are saying that according to their law, South China Sea belonging to China. So these are the two grounds based on which they are claiming that entire South China Sea is Chinese. So can you imagine? One is historical record. So historical record can be created, not at all an issue. And their national laws. That is, Chinese national laws are saying that South China Sea belonging to China. So based on these two. So finally, Philippines filed a case in Permanent Court of Arbitration, PCA, which is in The Hague, Netherlands, which is the body, the international tribunal to solve these kind of disputes. Okay. So the Permanent Court of Arbitration in 2016, 4 years back, they ruled that the Chinese claims, territorial claims in South China Sea based on their sources and grounds are completely baseless. Chinese claims cannot be accepted. Permanent Court of Arbitration ruled against China in 2016. Okay. So what was the response? Immediately China, very next minute, once the verdict was given by PCA, very next minute, this Chinese authorities, they rejected verdict of PCA. They are not accepted this. Okay, China rejected court verdict of Permanent Court of Arbitration. Okay. In 2002, an agreement was signed between ASEAN one side, another side China. Okay, ASEAN and China signed an agreement to solve South China Sea conflict through peaceful manner. Through peaceful manner. Okay. And through that agreement, India is demanding freedom of navigation. Okay, an innocent passage. So UNCLOS has provided innocent passage. Innocent passage means, okay, any ship can pass through one country's territorial water for commercial reasons. That is without any intention of harming a particular country. For example, if Indian ships are navigating through Chinese territorial water, they should not have any intention of harming China. In what way you can harm a country? For example, through weapons. There are two things. One is through weapon. Either you can smuggle or you can transport weapon and you can supply. Or next one is carrying pollutants, marine pollutants. These two things are not allowed. So innocent passage means innocently you are allowed to navigate in territorial water. So India is demanding this. Okay. Next important global mandate is economic security. Economic security. Very, very important. Why? See, political instability can lead to conflicts, and conflicts can lead to killing millions of people. Okay, so as of now, there are close to 100 million people died after Second World War. That is due to political instability or political insecurity. Okay, but if you consider even economic crisis also can lead to instability as well as killing of people. It is possible. Economic crisis can lead to political instability, and political instability lead to political crisis. Political crisis will lead to conflict. Conflict will lead to killing of people. There are so many examples, isn't it? Okay, see, if a country is facing economic crisis, definitely you can expect some revolutions. Definitely you can expect some regime change, and during the transition time, definitely there will be internal conflict. That internal conflict can lead to killing of people or political instability. See, Not only this, even without any conflict or any war or any political instability, economic crisis can affect a country, or economic crisis can kill, or they can destroy societies peacefully. That is also possible. I can show you three major economic crises in the world history. Three are very important. So that created global level shock. Okay, it is very simple. Any idea about Great Depression? Can you text me? Great Depression. What was the reason for Great Depression? What happened? I think in world history, Ganesha would have discussed about Great Depression. World War One. Okay, Harini, can you elaborate? Akshaya, after World War One, started in New York Stock Exchange, ended in 1933. Okay, super. Kishore, after World War One, countries don't have money for running their economy. Okay, super. Done. Anything else? Rini, capitalism failed. Okay, yes, capitalism failed at the time. Okay, banking crisis. So I will briefly explain how economic crisis affect the world. As you know, it was the United States who funded European countries during First World War. Not only provided financial support, they provided arms support also. Weapons were provided by US. Okay. So what happened in from 1914 to 1918, US was weapon supplier, but once war ended, demand for US arms reduced. Okay. Slowly, the US companies, see, it was the peak of industrialization or industrial revolution in United States. That is initial periods of 20th century. It was a peak of industrialization. So if you take any society, first they will develop with primary sector. Once primary sector is fully developed, they will move to secondary sector, that is industrial sector. Once industrial sector is well developed, they will move to tertiary sector, that is service industry. This is natural economic growth of a society as such. Okay, if society is moving, if society is growing, first they will develop primary, then secondary, then tertiary. This is actual natural growth. But in United States, in early 20s and all, due to the robust, due to the sudden development of industrialization, US authorities or US government, they failed to provide adequate support to primary sector. Primary sector contribution was totally neglected. That is, agriculture sector contribution was totally neglected. And what happened in actually the Great Depression is very, very important in world history. Even the organization's perspective also is very important. See, generally already economics is done, no? First there should be proper money supply. That money supply will lead to demand. That demand will lead to production. The production will lead to employment. Then employment will lead to, again, this is a circle, right? So once the war ended, demand for arms production, the demands for arms not only in Europe and other countries also totally stopped. So the companies who made arms, they wanted to maintain same level of profit. And one more thing, the allied industries like automobile, electronic industries and all, they also interested to have some amount of profit. Their ultimate objective was profit. In order to retain or in order to get more profit, the salaries of employees not increased properly. So generally, there should be periodical revision of salaries. Then only your economy will function properly. If salaries are not increased, then there will not be money flow. If there is no money flow, no demand. No demand means no production. No production means no employment. Again, this cycle will be broken. So here, in early 1920s, demand for manufactured goods reduced considerably. Why? Because no affordable salary or no proper salary was given. Wages were given to employees. And US companies, they tried to export their goods to Europe because Europe was the only alternate market. Other than Europe, no one can think about US goods at the time. 1920s, say for example, India and all was colonized. We were having economic relation mainly with Britain. Okay, so raw materials were exported to Britain and it was processed there and it again sent to India back as a finished goods. So this was the system and almost entire world was colonized. So United States cannot export their goods to colonial countries, colonial territories. So Europe market was the only potential market. But due to war, First World War, European market economy industry totally collapsed. They were not in a position to import US goods. They wanted to develop their own industry. So European countries imposed barrier on US goods. So US again, they were not able to export. The exports also affected and this one also affected. Okay, so these are the two challenges. So what can be done? That is, United States government, they should increase the demands of goods. So to increase demand for goods, what can be done? Actually, what we are using today, it was introduced in US in 100 years back. That is, this one, United States introduced credit card, that is getting now, paying later. The credit card system was introduced in 1920s. This credit card system led to money flow. Money flow in the sense, employees, those who had a very limited wage, they got credit card and by using credit card, they started getting products. So demand started increasing. Just imagine, all of a sudden by introducing credit card new mechanism, demand started increasing. Once demand started increasing, then what's happened? The companies, they increase their production level because they want more profit. So they increase their production level. If production levels are increased, parallelly, this wage or salary should be increased. Okay, but again, in order to retain more profit or more this one, they maintain same level of wages or salary. If same level of salaries are given to employees, already employees they purchased, they got credit card and they got goods also. Because of this, demand increased and production also increased. But salary is same level. So what will happen? These employees, workers, they were not able to repay their loans. Okay, I think you can understand the link. Okay, so there was huge outstanding with banks. In order to address this, again, new system was introduced. Already it was there, not introduced, it was there. That is speculation in capital market. Speculation means with my assumption. Assumption means, for example, if I get the stocks, the shares of particular company today at the rate of $10 per share, probably by after 6 months, I can get $100 or $200. That is with the positive expectation, I will purchase share and after some time, accordingly, I can earn profit. So the employees, not only employees, the general public, they started investing their money in stock market, in US stock market. Just imagine, already there was a liquidity crisis. Yes, there was huge outstanding with banks. Okay, this is point number one. Second, the same employees, they borrowing money from other sources and they started investing in stock market. Due to the sudden investment, the values of stocks started increasing very fastly. So today, if a particular company share is, if it is just $1, probably within 2 months or 3 months or 6 months, it will be $50 or $70. So there was a 50-fold or 100-fold profit for investors. So there was a sudden boom in stock market. Actually, there will be two set of investors. One is domestic investors, and next one global investors. And among these, again, there will be two. One is the retail investors, that is a common public. Next one, investment companies, that is like mutual fund companies, insurance companies and all. They will invest their money in these funds. So what happened? Generally, the professional investors, they will stay in one particular stock market till they have confidence on basic parameter of economy. The US parameters, economic parameters were not strong at the time. Slowly, people started selling their stocks. That is, professional investors, they started selling. Just imagine, in stock market, actually in United States, industries were more concentrated. Primary sector was not given much importance. And all employment opportunities were offered mainly in industrial sector, manufacturing sector. And most of the companies were listed in stock exchange. And slowly people started selling their stocks. If people are selling, if there are more people are selling and less people are buying, means value will come down. Slowly started coming down. On fine day, stock market collapsed in 1929, October. Stock market literally collapsed. Okay, there was no single buyer to purchase a share. If stock markets are collapsed, then what will happen? Companies will be closed. If companies are closed, no employment. If there is no employment, no money circulation, no wage, nothing. Literally, US economy collapsed. It is called depression, not recession or not slowdown. It is called depression. It is severest form of economic crisis. That is Great Depression. It not only affected US, it affected outside US, particularly European countries, because European countries and US had very strong economic integrations. So that affected the entire region. If European region is affected during that time, generally if entire region is, European region is affected, definitely it will affect the entire world, because the entire world was colonized by European countries. So simply because of this wrong economic policy of US, they suffered a lot. Not only US, European countries and entire world suffered. So the answer for this Great Depression is New Deal. I think you might be knowing this, right? This is one thing. Second, this our generation crisis, subprime crisis. Name itself says it is subprime. What is subprime? I'll tell you. See, till 2001, United States was considered as the most secured destination for global investors. But in 2001, September 11, that confidence collapsed among the global investors because of terrorist attack. So they came to conclusion that even United States is not free from terror attacks. They are also prone to terror attacks. So the investment flow towards US slowly declined. Now it is the responsibility of US government to boost the confidence of global investors to get more investment. Am I right? So, how can they get confidence? Very simple. US authorities decided to liberalize financial laws, particularly in the financial sector. For example, right now in India, if you want to get loan, it is not easy thing. First, they will assess your background, then they will check whether you have repayment capacity, whether you have resources for repayment, and they will check whether already you are defaulter. Okay, so there are so many formalities. All these formalities were established through law. Similarly, in United States, they had financial laws. Most of the laws were very stringent laws, very strict laws. But due to this, and actually they wanted to promote US as a most another secure destination. And if you have very stringent laws, generally the global investors, they will not like it, and they need a very smooth process and very easy process, smooth as well as easy. So financial laws were liberalized. Liberalized means many provisions were removed. So slowly, particularly in banking sector, okay, previously in United States it was not easy to get loan, but after this liberalization, it was very easy to get loans. And there was a coincidence that there was a real estate boom in US. There was a real estate boom. So real estate boom means slowly the real estate companies, they promoted, and there was very high demands for homes. That is real estate properties, there was a very high demand. So what happened? Since there was a boom in real estate, US banks and financial institutions, they started providing loans to properties, that is housing properties. Just imagine, I'm a bank. Previously, I had 200 customers. Among 200, 10 customers got loan for housing facilities or the home loan. And among these 10, 2 customers failed to repay their loan. So what can be done? So bank, I can attach the property, I can sell it in the market. So I will not have any problem. But in another circumstance, I have 300 customers, and among these 300, 150 got loan for their housing facilities. And these, 1 minute, I mean, display poche. So among the 300, 150 got a housing loan. Among 150, 100 customers failed. So what can be done? If I attach properties, I can attach, not a problem. But if I want to resell it in market, it is not easy thing because already it is oversupplied. It is oversupplied. So what's happened? Say for example, I'm getting 10 crore rupees, okay, or 10 crore dollars for my housing. And I mortgaged my house with Citibank for 10 crore. I got loan in 2003. In 2004, the same property was mortgaged to another bank, say for example Lehman Brothers. Because of this liberalization, stringent laws were removed. It was easy for mortgage. Same property was mortgaged with 2 banks. One is Citibank and one is Lehman Brothers. So I got 20 crore rupees for 10 crore worth of property in 2003 and 4. In 2006, I failed to repay my loans. I became defaulter. See, generally, banks should provide loans to primary customers. Primary customer means the customer, that is a trustworthy customer. That is the customer who had a proper repayment track record and who have repayment capacity. So they are called primary customers. But instead of lending to primary customers, US banks, they started lending to subprime customers, that is unworthy customers. So because of that, there were so many malpractices, and the same property was mortgaged with more than one banks. And say for example, in 2003 and 4, I got 20 crore rupees, and I became defaulter. I failed to repay my loan in 2006. If banks want to attach my property, both the banks can attach, and each can share 5 crore. Okay, and initially it was a boom, but at one point of time, I think market was saturated. The prices of housing property started coming down, so value also decreased. After 2006-7 and all, value decreased. Say for example, if the 10 crore value property is reduced to 7 crore, each bank will get 3.5. How much loss? Each 6.5. I think you can imagine. Now, that resulted in acute liquidity crisis. Okay, there was this very severe liquidity crisis in banks of United States that led to, that is, world largest banks became bankrupt. Can you imagine? World largest banks like Citibank, Lehman Brothers, so many banks, they became bankrupt. So what happened? This is actually service industry, and our IT exports are one of the major component of our export. To whom we are exporting our IT solutions means mainly to the financial institutions of United States and Europe. If these financial institutions became bankrupt, then to whom you will give your IT solutions? So our IT companies are affected. Hundreds of thousands of Indians lost their job in IT sector. Even many families committed suicide. Why? So for example, in India, I'm working in IT company, I'm getting 1 lakh rupees salary, and I have 50,000 rupees housing loan. Okay. All of a sudden, my IT company removed me from job. What can be done? Nothing. Because IT professionals are generally specialists. Only after that, a new trend emerged. IT people, those who are working, they started developing parallelly another skills, all other skills, like doing agriculture and other activities. So at the time, most of the IT professionals were specialists. They know only about IT. So many suicides, because they don't know anything. They couldn't manage their housing loan and their economic needs. So there was actually ultimate crisis. That is called subprime crisis. Again, due to wrong economic policy of US, there was a, so there was the same repeated topic, like capitalism failed in 2008 and all. Actually, at that it was the time we were preparing for mains. So there are so many articles written that capitalism, it is the right time that capitalism, we can prove that capitalism is totally failed. Okay. Next, Eurozone crisis. Eurozone crisis means, Eurozone means it is not a European Union. See, there are right now 27 countries in European Union. Among these 27, 19 are using common currency called Euro. Those 19 countries alone called Eurozone. Eurozone means a group of countries who are using common currency. Eurozone is a monetary union. Eurozone is monetary union. Okay, so in Eurozone, here what happened? In subprime crisis, at least banks became bankrupt. But here in Eurozone crisis, what happened? Some of the West European countries like Spain, Italy, Greece, Portugal and all, governments borrowed beyond their repayment capacity. Governments. Okay. So in Eurozone crisis, governments became bankrupt. Governments became bankrupt. So finally, the members of European Union agreed for supporting those countries, those suffered due to this financial crisis. by giving bailout package. Okay, so it is one of the major reason for Brexit. Okay, Britain, UK, actually this European Union started in 1951 as European Coal and Steel Community by Treaty of Paris. Okay, when it was started, originally 6 countries joined, like France, Germany, Italy, Luxembourg, Netherlands, okay, and Belgium. Okay, these 6 countries, they requested Britain to join, but Britain refused, because generally, if a country is joining with international organization, any international organization, it is like getting married. You have to compromise your rights and your sovereignty. So, for example, we are part of WTO. We are part of United Nations. Okay. Because of WTO membership, our economic sovereignty is affected to some extent. Okay, we have to compromise. It is actually mutual compromise. Okay, so similarly, Britain refused, because if they are becoming member of this, they have to compromise their sovereignty. But same Britain, after observing the growth of European Union, in 1973 they joined. Okay, and this Britain, actually Brexit was considered as one of the important setback for global cooperation. Why? Same like Britain, if one by one, all countries are coming out from European Union, then what will happen? European Union will collapse. In case if European Union is collapsed, do you know? Actually, in 2012, Nobel Peace Prize was given to European Union. Whether they deserved for this getting this prize means yes, true. Why? Only European countries waged First World War and Second World War. Only European countries are responsible for 2 world wars. Why? Always among the European countries, they will have the feeling of supremacy and feeling of nationalism. Which country is superior to other, and always they will have feeling of nationalism. This nationalism only major reason for World War I and World War II. In case same like Britain, if other countries are ready to come out, then European Union will collapse. If European Union is collapsed, then there will be competition among the European countries. That competition may be resulted in another war. Okay, leave it. That is a different story. Here in Eurozone, it is among the 19 countries, common currency is used. So in this region, 4 countries, they borrowed excessively, and the governments became bankrupt. Finally, bailout package was given, and through that, they were helped by European Union member countries. Okay, all these 3 impacted the entire world, not only the respective region, respective country, it impacted entire world. Okay, now very important thing. If you observe, after 1945, at least every decade, or at least in alternate decade, there will be global level financial crisis, or at least at regional level. Accordingly, in 1997, okay, in 1997, there was a very severe financial crisis in Southeast Asia, Singapore, Thailand and all. They suffered a lot. What was the financial crisis? Due to some economic and political reasons from Southeast Asia, all of a sudden, all the investors, global investors, they started taking back their investment. If investments are flowing outside, what will happen? Their economy will collapse. Accordingly, Southeast Asian nations collapsed in 1997. Okay, that is called capital flight. capital started flying from Southeast Asia to outside. Okay, it was the major economic crisis. It is a regional level crisis. Not only single country, not only Singapore, many other states suffered a lot. In response to Southeast Asian nations' financial crisis, a global platform, a global institution was established to ensure economic security and economic stability of potential economies. That is very important. Not by all the countries, only potential economies. That organization is called as G20. Group of 20 countries joined together in 1999. 1999. Okay. So, G20 consists of developing and developed world. Please understand, G20 is consist of both developed economies and developing economies, both. Okay, including European Union, 19 independent states plus European Union, G20. So, what is the objective? The objective of G20 is to ensure macroeconomic stability and financial stability. Okay. So, even though it was established in 1999 for ensuring economic stability and security, initially only finance ministers and central bank governors met. Among the 20 countries, member countries, finance ministers and RBI. For India, we have RBI. Similarly, all central bank governors met every year and they discussed for establishing mechanisms and for giving proposals for ensuring macro level economic stability. But after 2008 crisis, okay, after 2008 crisis, that is subprime crisis, head of states of G20 started meeting together. Okay, so sometimes that can be a question. So with respect to G20, this year there was a question about G20. Simply they asked who are all members. Sometimes from same topic we can expect question in case if it appear newspaper frequently. So this G20 originally meeting was held between central bank governors and finance ministers, but after 2008 this G20 started conducting meeting with head of states, that is presidents and prime ministers started sharing their views and they started attending annual summits. And very important information is this G20 is not a formal organization. It is an informal forum. It is an informal forum. They don't have permanent headquarter and they don't have any formal structure. It is informal forum through which they are meeting every year. They are conducting annual summits. They are discussing about financial and economic issues. See, it's very important information. Please keep it in your mind. In case if you are asked to write anything about, or if you are giving any point related to G20, you can mention about this. Collectively, G20 members represent around 80% of world's economic output. Can you imagine? So economically, the G20 is most powerful. 80% of global GDP, and 2/3 of global population, and three quarters of international trade. 3/4 of stuck ಆಯ್ತು. ஹேங் ஆயிடுச்சு. வெயிட் பண்ணுமா? சரி, எவ்வளோ நேரம் ஆகும்? ரெஸ்பாண்ட் ஆக மாட்டேங்குது. Akshay is asking question. Sir, is there any reason for G20 to be kept as an informal forum since the member countries contribute to majority of our GDP, population also in trade? Why not make it formal? See, Akshay, my understanding is if it is a formal institution, sometimes if you make any decision, okay, if you take any decision, it will be binding. But in economic context, you cannot make such decisions, the binding decisions, because ensuring economic stability and security is completely policy based process. Okay, it is purely policy based. So if you have formal structure, formal institution, definitely there will be interfere in your economic policies. Once if you have external influence in your economic policy, you will not have economic sovereignty at all. Completely you have to compromise. So each and every economic policies may be reviewed by international forum. So that may lead to confusion as well as tensions. So instead of that, we can go for consensus based and informal platform, so that if you make any decision in international forum like G20, if you are interested, you can follow it, provided if you are interested to protect your economy. Otherwise, not an issue. See, for your batch, I think we can start pre-storming. That is, pre-storming means preliminary test batch. From December second week, is it okay? So by that time, I think we can complete. I think modern India already done, ancient history also done, core economics almost done, and polity first part almost done. So if we start by December second week or third week, at the time we can conduct 4-5 test. Okay, this one in pre-storming, Totally, see, if you are part of CSAT, totally there will be 73 tests, including CSAT. For CSAT, there will be 15. And this one, 58. For GS alone, there will be 58 tests. Okay, and in the month of January, February, and in March, all these 3 months, you will have full length GS mains test. Okay, complete. There is paper 1 in probably in January itself. Paper 1 to take paper 1, we have to complete society in India. That is a big syllabus area. Okay, so other than that, modern history is done, geography will be done, and art and culture will be done along with the ancient medieval history. So you can take first paper, and February you will have a second paper. So second paper, polity complete syllabus, bilateral relations and international organizations, and governance. So governance will complete at the time. So for February you will have full second paper test. Okay, and third paper, I think it will be delayed. Fourth paper, March beginning, we will have fourth paper, full paper, and March end, you will have this one, third paper. So we want to conduct 4 full length mains test. For that, you will have detailed feedback, and you will get explanation also. And next one, before that, see, for each pre-stamming, there will be 26 unit-wise test. That is, a 26 test will be conducted unit-wise into 2. For each, already I told you, again I am reminding, for each test syllabus, there will be 2 set of question papers. For preliminary perspective, that is objective type questions, there will be 200 questions, 100 each. Along with that, if possible, we will give you 10 to 15 mains questions also. So for that, again you will have answers as well as paper correction also. So from December, you will have test. Close to 15 mains test and 58 prelims test. And including CSAT and all, if you put together the full length test and all, and along with this class test, totally by end of your course, you will have 100 tests, prelims, mains together. That is my objective. Definitely you will reach that. And last year we conducted around 80 tests. This time we can conduct 100. Okay, so be prepared for that mentally. Now itself I informed you, please go with the class schedule and try to complete syllabus as much as possible and as soon as possible. Don't lag in your schedule. Okay, particularly don't lag in the class schedule. Okay, so for example, this week we are completing some topics. This week itself you have to complete. Then only you will do only revision later. Otherwise, if you lag in syllabus, definitely you will start your preparation only from January or February. Sometimes because of that, you will miss your prelims with marginal marks, 1 or 2 marks. And my sincere request, please don't underestimate CSAT. Whatever importance, see, those who are getting more than 120, 130 in CSAT comfortably, it's okay. Those who are getting less than 120, that is within the 2 hours time, that is important. You can get even 150 mark, but with 4 hours or 5 hours time, that is not an issue. See, that is not in this one. See, you have to complete test paper within 2 hours. With that, you should get at least 120 to 130 marks comfortably. Then only you can be relaxed. Otherwise, please give whatever importance you are giving to GS, the same level of importance should be given to CSAT also. So this year, many interview students failed in CSAT. So many students. So this year CSAT was, every year there will be a surprise in preliminary examination, mains examination, and interview also. There will be a surprise. I'm guaranteeing that definitely there will be a surprise. Either in GS or CSAT, there will be a surprise. So this year there was a surprise in CSAT. along with GS. So don't underestimate. Please spend time for CSAT. Otherwise, make habit of solving CSAT papers every day from now. So almost you have 7 months time. So in the 7 months, if you do practice daily for 1 hour, it is more than sufficient. You will be master in CSAT. Okay, thank you. So this one, G20 was established with objective of மறுபடியும் ஹேங் ஆயிடுச்சு என்னாச்சு ஓகே டைரக்டா பிபிடி போட்டுங்களேன் அப்புறம் கூட எக்ஸ்பிளைன் பண்ணிக்கிறேன் வெப்சைட் இஃப் திஸ் இஸ் நாட் ஒர்க்கிங் ஓகே and pre-storming will be part of your course. Someone texted yesterday from weekend batch. Test schedule already given. Archana? What? Pre-storming schedule. Films test schedule already given. Archana? See, that is class test, Archana. But I hope. ஒரே நிமிஷம் இது நம்ம வெப்சைட் போகணும் சங்கரேஷ் வெப்சைட் ஏன் இப்படி இந்த மாதிரி ஆகுது பிபிடி போடுறாங்க அப்படியா Archana, I mentioned about this schedule. Okay. So, for example, for first test, this will be the syllabus. Okay. So, dates and all it will be changed for your batch. That is Indian polity up to fundamental duties. Along with that, January 2020 current affairs. And second test will be for Indian history, that is modern history up to 1857, including socio-religious reform movements, along with February 2020 current affairs. And third test will be for geography. Okay. So geography, entire physical geography, along with March 2020 current affairs. So before each test, there will be orientation for this subject plus current affairs class for particular month. For geography, for example, for physical geography, there will be orientation. In orientation, the respective faculty will discuss that this is how you have to approach for this subject. How UPSC is asking question. Okay, we will give you one document. Okay, with the previous year question analysis. So that document will be much useful to you. And along with that, we will conduct this current affairs class. Okay, and not only this, after completing this, you will have subject wise current affairs also, like science current affairs, IO current affairs, polity current affairs, economic current affairs, and along with it economic survey class plus environment current affairs also. So current affairs, subject wise current affairs classes will be conducted separately. So this is called pre-storming, and there will be totally 56 tests. Okay, so there will be totally 52 unit wise GS test and 6 all India mock test. So this all India mock test will be conducted hopefully in offline, okay, at the time, and I think last 3 tests will be conducted with some schools and colleges. We will try to give you same like UPSC atmosphere before going to UPSC exam. That is our objective. Every year, in the past 12 years, we are conducting mock test in various schools and colleges. And past 4 years, we are conducting all India mock test with the 14 centers across country. So close to 10,000 students will take this mock test. So due to COVID, last year it was very less, around 3,000 or 4,000 students only took, but generally close to 8 to 10,000 students will take the test. So before your actual preliminary examination, we will give you actual preliminary feeling in terms of quality of question and atmosphere and competition. Okay, so same level of competition will be there, same level of difficulty level will be there in question, and same atmosphere we will try to give. Okay, so that will be all India mock test. Now, I already told you, so we will give you artificial intelligence based analytics with all India ranking. First time in India, our academy introduced artificial intelligence based support for students. So in this, what can you expect means very simple. First one is face recognition. Already you might be knowing this. One is face recognition. Second, we are developing, that is your behavior will be observed. So you cannot copy and all. So we will try to prevent this. See, problem is there will be 2 set of students. One is who are sincerely preparing. Another one is for namesake preparing. The person who is sincerely preparing, he will get 100 mark or 110 mark. Another person, simply he will get 198 or 196. So the morality and the confidence of the sincere students is affected because of this. So we planned to introduce this. So what will happen? The system will observe you. Okay, you should have camera enabled, camera supported system, and it will observe your behavior. Okay, during the entire 2 hours session test, and there will be 2 scores. One is your test score, next one your behavioral score. That is called fairness score. How far fairly you took this test. Okay, genuinely you took this test. So for that there will be a score. So that score will give you, say for example, you may score 190 or 180 or even 200, but your fairness score will show whether you copied or not. Okay, so that is one thing. Once this is done, then you will get analytics. That is very, very important. Say for example, in case if you are attending a test and if you are meeting your mentor after the test, your mentor will assess your performance, test performance, and they will give you detailed input. Say for example, this question they took from this topic, and for this one you can, in case if you do mistake or if you are not able to answer for those questions, they will give you input like this can be referred from this source, and this is the way you have to approach, like that. They will give you personalized input. Similar input will be done by our machine. Okay, so this portal will give you similar input for the question who whatever questions you missed it or you made mistake. Other important thing is in the portal, the input, confidence level input. Say for example, if you answered for 90 questions, among this, if you answered with full confidence 50 questions and 40 questions with less confidence, means confidence based analytics will be given. Say for example, if you attended with 100% confidence, it will say that the questions who attended with 100% confidence, it can, so how many questions you made correct, how many questions you made a mistake. So that analytics will be there. And if you have 50% confidence, again it will give you analytics for that also. How many questions corrected, how many questions wrong. And it will give you detail like for how many correct questions, how many second you took, and wrong questions, how many second you took. So that and all it will be discussed. And there will be so many other inputs. Okay. So it will be, see, because of online only we are giving all these things, all the support. Offline means that things will be different. Like you can meet your mentor, you can meet your faculty in classroom, after the test, and you can discuss with them. But since we are conducting online test, so we are the first academy to introduce AI based supported system, so that you will not feel like you are not getting proper support. Okay, so we will have blind spot system and all. So there are so many things. We will have a discussion later. Come to next global mandate, that is trade and investment disputes. Even trade disputes are also trade disputes can lead to conflicts. Some question Rini asked, June current affairs and core economics test discussion after this session, that comes under which category? When will this pre-storming schedule be given so that I could prepare accordingly? Rini, I think I can share a modified pre-storming schedule accordingly, that is based on your class schedule, by second week of December. Is it okay? By second week of December, I think we can share. Because at the time, that is after 1 month, we can assess how many subjects are over. Okay, hereafter we will try to give more importance for preliminary subject. We will try to complete preliminary syllabus by at least March end, so that you will have enough time for preparation, that is revision. Okay, that is our objective. Okay. Trade and investment disputes. So trade disputes may lead to political conflicts. There are some examples. Okay, but in 1995, so before 1995, it is called GATT, General Agreement on Trade and Tariff. But in 1995, a full-fledged institution was established called WTO, World Trade Organization. Originally, when IMF and World Bank, these two institutions were established through Bretton Woods conference, simultaneously they planned for ITO, that is International Trade Organization, but it failed. This attempt was failed. Only two institutions were established, IMF and World Bank, through Bretton Woods conference in 1945, that is called Bretton Woods Twins. But later in 1995, World Trade Organization was established. Actually, every year, or at least every alternate year, we are getting questions related to World Trade Organizations. So World Trade Organization, very important topic. Most of the questions in preliminary examination related to World Trade Organization are basically from terminologies of world trade. Okay, so most of the questions they ask from terminologies. Particularly in the past 5 years, if you analyze past 5 years questions, mostly they are asking questions from terminologies. And these terminologies generally appeared in newspaper. Only from those topics they are asking question. So this year in 2020 also there was a question about TRIMS. Okay, so every alternate year or sometimes continuously every year we will have questions on WTO. Okay, so very important. So before going to this, actually regarding WTO, I think after completing external sector in your economics, you will have session for WTO, IMF and World Bank, either by myself or by Mr. Sarath. Okay. So this one, before going to this, first I want to explain 6 different stages of economic integration. Economic integration. There are 6 different stages. There are 6 different stages of economic integration. Okay. See, since ancient time, even before 2000 years, there were so many bilateral trades took place. So, for example, India, particularly South Indian kingdoms, had trade relations with Europeans and Southeast Asian countries and all. But after 1945, after end of Cold War, decolonization started. After this decolonization, more than 100 new countries were established. The trade relations between countries during ancient time and during 20th century, if you take the nature and pattern and all, it is totally different. Previously, okay, that is previously means after 1945, I'm saying, most of the countries they imposed more tariffs on goods, more tariffs. Why? Very simple, either to generate revenue or to protect their domestic industry. So, for example, if you take India, India is one of the leading producer of tea in the world as well as consumer. Sri Lanka also, they are one of the leading producer of tea in the world. So, for example, in Sri Lanka, the production cost is just 70 rupees. Whereas in India, it is 250 rupees per kg. In case if Sri Lanka is exporting tea to India without any tariff, what will happen? India's domestic tea industry will be affected. Am I right? Yes, Indians will prefer Sri Lankan tea. If we are not imposing any tariff, it will be very cheap when it comes to India and it will be a problem. Okay. Now, this actually this trade relations in this kind of situation, in these kind of situations, generally India will impose more tariff on Sri Lankan tea in order to protect our domestic industry. Okay, but after some time, in case if India and Sri Lanka both are interested to strengthen their bilateral trade relations, they may go for some special arrangements. Through that special arrangements, tariffs as well as non-tariff barriers will be removed. Tariffs as well as non-tariff barriers. Tariff barrier means, for example, customs duty, import duty, and anti-dumping duty. There are so many duties are available, so they can impose those taxes on goods to protect. That is called tariff barriers. By imposing tariff, you will establish barrier. There are some non-tariff barriers. Non-tariff barriers. So, what are the non-tariff barriers? For example, quota system. You might be aware of this quota system. Quota system means okay. Quota system means, for example, I think you might be aware of quota system in textile and all previously. It was a big topic. So, for example, if European countries are importing textile goods from some developing countries like India, Bangladesh, and China and all, they will have quota system. Quota system means, for example, from India only this much we can import. From Bangladesh only this much. From Myanmar only this much. And from China only this much. From Thailand only this much. So, they will have quota. Beyond that limit, they will not import from that particular country. So, that is called non-tariff barriers. Without imposing tariff, how a barrier can be established? So, that is called non-tariff barrier. In international trade, there are many examples for non-tariff barriers. Okay. So, say for example, India and Sri Lanka both are interested to strengthen their trade relation. They are very much interested to increase their trade volume, bilateral trade volume. So, what happened? Both the countries can go for some special arrangements on mechanisms. Okay. And slowly, through these kind of special mechanisms, these two economies will integrate slowly. Okay, and in this process there are 6 stages. There are 6 stages totally. Okay, I'll tell you. I'm giving only example, not actual thing. Okay, say for example, India and Sri Lanka, they have decided to increase their trade volume by some special arrangement. So in case if they are planning, they can go for first stage of economic integration in the name of Preferential Trade Agreement, PTA, Preferential Trade Agreement. Through Preferential Trade Agreement, both India and Sri Lanka will reduce their tariffs. They will reduce their tariffs considerably. So, for example, sometimes it may be more than 200% or 400% of product value. The tariffs will be more than 100% or 200% or 300% or 400%. So, from this, it will be reduced to, say, for example, 100% or 50% like that. Okay. So, tariff reduction will be there. Sometimes there will be tariff elimination, that is 0%. That is called Preferential Trade Agreement. Preferential Trade Agreement. So, through Preferential Trade Agreement, either tariffs will be reduced or sometimes eliminated. Very important thing, not for all goods, only for selected goods which are mutually agreed upon by both the countries. Both the countries should accept mutually that for these goods we are agreeing for tariff reduction or tariff elimination, not for all goods. Some of the goods will be kept away from these tariff concessions. So, they are called negative list, leave it. So, this is called first stage of economic integration. Sometimes after some years, after a certain period, both countries are comfortable to move further to enhance their trade relations, means then they will move to second stage of economic integration called free trade agreement. Free trade agreement. It can be a free trade agreement. So, in free trade agreement, what will happen? Name itself says free trade. Okay, so what will happen means, in free trade agreement, tariffs and non-tariff barriers will be removed. Tariff barriers and non-tariff barriers will be removed. That is called FTA. Tariff barriers and non-tariff barriers will be removed. That is called second stage of economic integration. Third stage of economic integration is called custom union. Custom union. Custom union. Custom union means, say for example, if you take India as an independent state, we have our own foreign trade policy. We have our own foreign trade policy. Our foreign trade policy will be revised every 5 years once. Okay, every 5 years once our foreign trade policy will be revised by Ministry of Commerce and Trade. So, what will be there in our foreign trade policy? We will have our own objectives. The core objective will be increasing international trade volume of India. But in order to increase the volume, so what will be done? some new areas, new products and new market areas will be identified and some incentives will be given through this policy. So we will have our own foreign trade policy, whereas custom union means it will be consist of few countries, a group of countries. Say for example, there may be 5 countries or 10 countries. Say for example, A, B, C, D, E. There are 5 countries in custom union. In custom union, there will be free trade among themselves. That is point number 1. Okay. Point number 1 is there will be free trade among the members. Okay. Next, along with free trade, there will be common foreign trade policy for all the 5. Instead of having individual foreign trade policy, there will be common foreign trade policy. Common foreign trade policy. So common foreign trade policy means, for example, if you export particular product from A, tariff will be same. See, the entire foreign trade policies, okay, all the countries' foreign trade policy will be common. For example, if you ask me example for custom union, the best example is South African custom union. So South African custom union is world's oldest custom union. It was founded, it was established in 1910, I think, almost 100 years old. South African custom union. There are 5 countries: South Africa, Lesotho, Swaziland, Namibia. Okay. See, that is third stage of economic integration. Okay. So there will be free trade among the countries, plus there will be common foreign trade policy. I hope you understand. Okay. Next, fourth stage of economic integration will be called single market. Single market. Single market means, it is very simple, among the members, among the group of countries. Single market will consist of group of countries. It may be 5 countries, 10 countries, anything. Among the members, there will be free movement of factors of production. Free movement of factors of production. Free movement of factors of production. So what are the factors of production? Land, labor, raw material, capital, rent. Okay. So except land, other factors can be moved from one country to another country without any restriction. Again, if you ask me example for single market, European single market. Classic example. So European single market was proposed in 1985 through an agreement called Schengen Agreement. Okay. It was established in 1995. Right now, you will be having Schengen visa. In Schengen, there are 26 countries. There are 26 countries. Within European Union, there are 22. From outside European Union, there are 4. Totally, there are 26 countries. If you want to travel or if you want to visit all these 26 countries, you no need to apply for individual visas. Instead of that, there is a common visa called Schengen visa. If you get one visa, okay, if you get one visa, you can travel in all 26 countries without any border check post for your passport and visa. Why this system was established? Very simple. In order to ensure free movement of laborers from one country to another country for working purpose. That is called single market. single market. Okay, so this is fourth stage of economic integration between a group of countries. Next is called monetary union. Fifth stage of economic integration is called monetary union. Monetary union means, already I told you just now, that is example is Eurozone. Classic example is Eurozone. That is, there will be common monetary unit. What is monetary unit? That is currency. There will be common currency. Common currency. For Eurozone, they have Euro. Similarly, if there is a monetary union, there will be common monetary unit. Next, final stage of economic integration is called economic union. Economic union. Economic union means, it is very simple. In economic perspective, the entire group of countries, okay, the entire group, all countries of that organization or the group, in economic perspective, will be treated as single country. Will be treated as single country. Will be treated as single country. Okay. So, for example, there will be common taxation policy, common budget, common foreign trade policy. So everything will be common. Okay. So European Union is the only regional organization. They reached up to 6 stages of economic integration. It's the only regional organization. We have so many regional organizations. We have ASEAN, we have SAARC, we have BIMSTEC, we have European Union, we have Caribbean Community, we have Indian Community. There are so many regional organizations. We have African Union, we have Gulf Cooperation Council. Okay, so we have so many regional organizations. Among this, the most potential is European Union. They reached all 6 stages of economic integration. Slowly they are moving towards full-fledged economic union, and after reaching this full-fledged economic union, they will move to 7th stage. That may be the ultimate one, that is called political union. Once if it is a political union, in political context, in political perspective, the entire region will be treated as single country. There will be common election, there will be common parliament, there will be common law. Politically, everything will be common. Again, this is cyclic nature. Uniting together, then dividing into separate countries, then another war, then again uniting together. Okay, so this is the all these 6 stages are examples for different levels of economic integration. So this is the slow. If 2 countries are matured enough to strengthen their trade relations, not only trade, if they are interested to strengthen their economic relations, overall economic relations, these are the different stages. Okay. Now, come to trade dispute. See, simply I will share only one trade dispute. There are so many different trade disputes. is actually there are so many uh, terminologies in WTO. Okay, agriculture product, amber box. Actually, amber box already asked in UPSC. Article 12 members. Blue box also asked. Okay, then Keynes group already asked. Already asked means more than 10 years before. Okay, then agreement on agriculture. Recently it was asked. Then Doha round. Okay, there are so many things. Okay, you will have an exclusive session for this. That is the terminologies related to um, WTO. Okay, see, I will explain about one important terminology. Many occasions it was in news. Okay, that is called rule of origin. I'm giving one example. Okay, for example, India and Sri Lanka both have free trade agreement. Okay, exclusively between India and Sri Lanka, they have free trade agreement. Say, for example, India is producing tea, Sri Lanka also producing tea. India's production cost is much higher than Sri Lankan tea. So tea was kept away from this FTA. Once if it is allowed, it will affect India's domestic tea industry. Whereas here, another thing is, India is one of the largest producer of cotton. Okay, one of the largest producer of cotton. But Sri Lanka is not producing cotton. So if cotton is exported from India to Sri Lanka, will there be any negative impact in Sri Lanka? No, no negative impact. Instead of that, it will increase trade volume. And Sri Lanka can develop their textile industry by importing raw cotton from India. That is one positive side of this trade, cotton trade. Next, same Sri Lanka, they have an exclusive free trade agreement with Pakistan. Okay. Pakistan is not producing tea. So Sri Lanka can offer, they can export their tea to Pakistan. Due to their geographical conditions, just you assume, for example, due to their geographical condition, they are not able to produce tea, so they are importing from Sri Lanka through their exclusive free trade agreement. Next, Pakistan is producing similarly, same like India, Pakistan also producing cotton. Here, the production cost is just 2,000 rupees per quintal. In India, the production cost for cotton, it is 5,000 rupees per quintal. Obviously, Sri Lanka will prefer which cotton? Pakistani cotton. By using this exclusive free trade between Sri Lanka and Pakistan, Sri Lanka can import cotton from Pakistan without tariff. After reaching Sri Lanka, a cotton merchant company of Pakistan, in different name, the same cotton is exported to India by using this exclusive free trade. While coming to India with transport cost and all, it may be 4,000 rupees or 3,000 rupees. Still, it is below the price of Indian cotton. So, what will happen if this is not checked properly? It will affect Indian cotton growing farmers. India's domestic industry will be affected. Actually, according to WTO norms, this is not at all fair trade practice. In order to avoid these kind of fair trade practice, malpractices, Archana is asking, is FTA also for selective goods? Yes, Archana, only for selective goods. If two or more countries share same currency like dollar, will those be considered as monetary union? Not Archana. Monetary union means uh, along with common monetary unit, you need all other features like common foreign trade policy and other things. Then only it can be considered as this. Okay. So, in order to prevent these kind of malpractices in WTO, we have rule of origin. Rule of origin means, say for example, if cotton is exported from Sri Lanka to India, that cotton should originate from Sri Lanka, not from Pakistan. Not from Pakistan. So, that is called rule of origin. Similarly, there are so many examples are there in order to ensure smooth flow of global trade. Okay. And these kind of trade disputes can be solved by WTO. In WTO, we have a dispute settlement body. So, in the dispute settlement body, if you apply any case, they will conduct investigation. After the investigation, they will rule a verdict. They will deliver a verdict, and that verdict is actually you should accept. Okay. In case if you have dispute with that verdict, then you can go to appellate body for appeal. In WTO, there is an appellate body for settling disputes, trade disputes. It is available. It consists of 6 or 7 members. Okay, that is actually big issue now, ongoing issue. This appellate body, again, it will investigate your concerns, and after the investigation, the body will deliver their verdict with minimum 3 or 4 members, 3 members. Verdict will be given. That verdict is final and binding, not subject to further appeal. It is binding. In case if you violate that final verdict of WTO appellate body, then you are subjected to face some sanctions by WTO. Okay. So this is briefly about this. I think we will stop here. So next topic is International Court of Justice. We will discuss why it was in news and what are the mechanisms, and we will compare with the International Criminal Court. This institution will be compared with the International Criminal Court, and the recent controversies and all we will discuss. Okay. So now we can go for question answer. Any questions? Any doubt? Today current affairs mains test question paper is not in group. Okay, Supriya, I will ask Shruti to upload immediately. Common foreign trade policy. See, common foreign trade policy means, for example, I told like India is having our own foreign trade policy. So every country will have their own foreign trade policies individually, separately. Whereas common foreign trade policy means for a group of countries, instead of having independent, separate, individual foreign trade policy, they will have one policy for all countries, entire group. That is called common foreign trade policy. Any other question? Okay. So thank you. Stay safe. And now by 7:15, you will have Sir, we have to read all terminologies given in WTO website or class notes is sufficient. See, Sivapriya, please don't don't read all terminologies in WTO website. It is unnecessary effort. Okay, not at all required. See, we will list out what are the terminologies recently appeared in newspaper. That only potential topics for UPSC prelims. Okay, don't do that. See, while giving terminology, we will inform you on which context it was in news, so that it will be easy for you. So, in the past 2 years, whatever terminologies appeared in newspaper, you will have class. And being a civil service aspirant, you should know some conventional, some basic terminologies that also will be discussed. Okay, so thank you. You will have test discussion by 7:15. You take break for 10 minutes, then you will join again. Thank you.